Yeah, that's so true. Like to me, that's kind of like how the traditional medicine, not traditional, but like the big pharma approaches healing, if you will, medicine.
Healing.
Yeah, where there's a term, and I'm really bad with terms, guys, so bear with me. But the term is like when you address the issue, the quote unquote issue at the symptom level. What's it called? Symptomatic treatment? Is that what it's called?
I don't. I don't. Is there an actual term
There's
for
a
it?
term,
Okay.
it's escaping right now. But anyways, and the issue, kind of what we're talking about here, is like, especially with I love the body because it is such a reflection for like life and like a metaphor. Same with sex, like it's all a metaphor for life. Um, Such that, if you, for example, if you're having like, I don't know, you're having like an issue with your hip, for example, and you've been like doing all you can, you've been doing all like the rolling on the butt muscle, and you've been like you're doing all the hip openers, and like it keeps happening, like I don't know what's wrong with my hip, but a lot of the time it has nothing to do with your hip, even though like your hip's crooked, or it's like it's doing some weird bump thing or whatever. It's fascinating because the body, just like nature and like so many things in life, it is, everything in your body is connected to the other thing. So what's really cool about this is like the hip, like a lot of, like for a lot of people, and I'm just gonna, this is obviously, please don't take this as as a medical advice, but
We're
everyone's
not
unique,
doctors, guys. Do you guys know that?
you guys know that. But like a lot of the time, like if there's an issue with the foot, or even, sorry, let's go with the shoulder, even with like the shoulder, you have like weird like shoulder or neck issues. The issue could be actually being your foot and like the way that you walk. Like if you have like this weird bunion and it's like screwing up, and like a domino effect, it affects everything up the chain. So like everything in our whole body is connected. So addressing it at the acute pain, or like whatever that pain is, it doesn't have that holistic approach. So same thing with healing, or it is healing, but like another aspect of just like healing at an emotional, spiritual, and mental level, like it's almost never exactly what we think it is. And sometimes that thing that we think it is actually requires some other aspect entirely for like to be nurtured and like supported and loved in order for us to feel open enough to hit the other thing. So it's like it seems complex, but it is so incredibly intelligent and nurturing, because all the things that do end up getting healed, even though it's not where we maybe want it to be initially, um it kind of naturally does its own unlinear, like non-linear kind of path to healing everything.
Yeah, that's something I've learned over the years is like your body, and you will release exactly what needs to be released at exactly the right time in exactly the right order, if you just like allow it to happen and don't try and like force a certain issue or heal a certain thing, or you don't get too tunnel visioned into one thing. But like certain things will come up at exactly the right moment when it needs to be addressed, when whatever's going on in your environment, or right like at the exact time that you're ready for it, those things will be healed at the exact right time. And any time before that, like I'm just like a lot of people who maybe, for example, go prematurely to like really go into psychedelics, for example, I think it could do actually more damage than it would be if you just didn't go there in the first place. So trying to force it can create more damage. And yeah, just like I said, everything will come up to be healed at the exact right moment that it is meant to.
Yeah, and kind of to add to that, I guess like, yeah, like there can be parts like, oh yeah, like I want to go and heal this part of myself, and your nervous system just may not be ready for that, and you can shut down. There can be some shock, and I think for me, like, yeah, like there are people that come to me that, occasionally have some sexual abuse, or, some deeper traumas that they feel like they're ready to overcome, or, be with. And that's something you can go in intentionally with. Um, as a trauma informed practitioner, it is so important to understand, like the telltales of like when someone actually is not ready. And a lot of it's like to do with eye movements, like the way their face is, the way they hold themselves, the way they breathe. Like there's a lot of like things you need to like really be aware of. So sometimes someone can have all the intention in the world, but their body just simply is not there yet. Or the reverse, they are totally ready, but they're just terrified at a mind level. And this is what happens with some clients. I know I mentioned this before. It's like where people will ghost you, or like they'll be a little resistant to do their practice. And this is like so common. Like this is being ready, but at a mind level, resisting it is way more common. I just want to say that first, than the reverse of the damage aspect that I was sharing, such that you just like drag your feet to do the practice.
Like you're like, I know I should do this thing, but I just don't want to.
Yeah. Or another actually big thing is like when you have this core wound of feeling like you're not enough, you won't actually, do the things that you need or that you are actually worthy of, for like healing, for example. A lot of people, and for me for a long time, when it comes to actually wanting to feel more positive in my life, more nourished, more satisfied, more fulfilled, just like feeling overall more juicy in my body, feeling pleasure, these aspects, like if there's a part of you that feels like you're not worthy of feeling something other than you feel it yourself, that is like seems good or better for whatever reason, you also will drag your feet. There's a lot of people that will reach out to me, and they'll be so ready to like invest in themselves, but then the part around money and like actually putting money towards their better good, that can be so confronting for someone that doesn't feel like they're enough to invest into. That's a big one. And I'm sure you come across that too, with people that are called to combo and like wanting to invest in themselves in that way, and then they just kind of like, bye.
Yeah, no, totally. That one, like, so investing in your health, and just like, it's a really big one that I see, is like when people don't think that they're even worthy of being healthy.
Yeah.
So it's like, even before we get to like the money aspect, which is a whole thing in itself, like that's a huge one. It's like I see a lot of people who that just like don't care. Like they have this attitude of like, oh, I don't care. Like, you're eating really shitty food, like drinking and drugs, and they just like don't care. And I think at the root of that is this feeling of not being good enough, because I don't deserve to be healthy. I don't deserve to treat my body like that. I don't deserve to love myself or be loved or whatever. And then, they might at some point decide like, oh, actually, you know what? Fuck that. Like I do deserve it. But then it comes to like, you have to take the step of like the money. And a lot of people that I see is like, they see health as an expense instead of an investment.
Yeah.
So and I'm sure you get this too. People come to me and they're like, "Oh, that's too expensive. Like, how can you expect me to like pay for that?" And it's like, the step of investing in your health is part of the process. And when people don't,
I remember, actually, I'm going to pause you on that. I remember, so I've been in, the self-development space for like 4 years now. And I remember in the beginning, so like my certification, actually about 5 years ago now, whatever, my certification is a 5-figure investment. And I remember shaking making that investment for myself. But that was like the most enriching and productive and supportive thing that I had ever done for me, not just as like a tangible life, like logistical aspect, but what it does for you at a nervous system, body, mind, personality, identity, confidence, all of those other things is priceless. And I remember hearing all the time, invest in yourself, and like it's the investment's part of the process. I remember being so fucking triggered by that. I'm like, that is such bullshit. They just want my money. I remember hearing that, and like literally that was the first thing. I'm like, that's such fucking Yeah. And don't get me wrong, there are people that say that just to say that. But after going through that process myself, there's so much truth to that. It's yeah.
Yeah, so your health is an investment, not an expense. And like when you spend money on something, you take it more seriously. Like
Yeah.
if I was out here running around giving Cambo for free to people, nobody's going to take it seriously, right? But when you take that time and it's like a decent amount of money and you approach it with more intention, you approach it with more value, you are much more likely to actually get benefit from it because you're taking it seriously. So like if you go out and do a bunch of shit for free and then you just like wander off and you're like, oh fuck, whatever, like that didn't matter, then you're not actually getting any benefit from it anyways.
Yeah.
So the aspect of actually paying money for health services or healing or therapy or whatever it is you're doing is a very important part of the process and is a mindset shift in and of